Hi everyone, welcome to the Safe Day India, the second presentation, aligning leadership using value stream mapping. My name is Eshwar Jakkula. I'm SPC5 and by profession I do agile coaching and training, and I'm presenting this on behalf of Cyberbahn. So let's see what I'm going to cover in this. First of all, let me give my credits to Karen Martin. I'm a great fan of this book, Value Stream Mapping, and so most of my concepts that I have developed were from this book, and I have experience by going through various presentations as well. And I have implemented this value stream mapping in several organizations at multiple levels. So this one particularly is focusing on at a business process level. And before we get into the details of how we can implement that, I would give some brief about understanding the value stream, then the process and benefits of value stream mapping. I mean, say, people would be talking a lot about value stream mapping, but how to, so why we should be using value stream mapping, what kind of benefits that we can expect from doing the process of value stream mapping. Then understanding the current state. So once we get into discussing more about value stream mapping, we can know what these states are. So what is the current state, and how do we understand the current state? Then designing the future state. So once we have the future state, then we would be preparing an action plan. So that is called as a value stream mapping transformation plan. And then how do we sustain the transformation? Who the people that are involved in this, the key metrics, and various steps involved in the process. So these are the things that we are going to see as a part of this presentation. So before we jump into the value stream discussion, so let's understand some of the lean principles. I mean, say, let's revise some of the lean principles. So these are not new to many people who are already, practicing the agile coaching and the lean agile transformations who are involved with. So what we look at here is, if you see this picture, right, specify the value, particularly from the customer's perspective. So the value that whatever customer says, whether it is in terms of building a product or providing a solution or providing a service, but specify that value from the customer's perspective, and then understand the value stream for each of the product or service family. So whatever product that we are working on means going to do the value stream mapping. So for every line of business, that could involve product or the service, and then make the product flow. So how the flow can be smoothly transition from one state to other state, and then deliver when the customer needs it, just in time delivery, then work towards perfection. So these are the principles from the lean perspective. Now let us see, like, what is value stream. So a value stream is a sequence of activities, whatever activity that is involved that requires the customer's requests converted into the value. So that means like cash to say concept to cash. So whatever processes that are involved in this sequential order, so that is called as a value stream. Everything right from here, customer request is made until customer says that it's done. So that's a value stream. Now let us look at why do we need to do the value stream mapping. So on the previous slide, we have seen that it is a sequence of activities that are required right from customer makes a request until we deliver the solution is the value stream. So in that case, why do we need to do this mapping? So basically, we need to understand the strategy, and in order to set the strategy before we get into the tactical management, that is one of the reasons. And to visualize the processes at multiple levels. So when I was working for one of the clients, when initially I started talking about doing a value stream mapping in order to understand the business well. So the senior leadership people, they were hesitant because I was asking for several leadership team to be there and to spend the entire day. So it's like, from different lines of business, I wanted the leadership team. And, once we started this exercise, people started realizing different processes that they were not aware of, or they were not, they have never got into the discussions related to those areas. And, when I have completed this, it's like a big wall of processes and the systems that are supporting these processes and the people who are involved in these processes. And when the entire picture was made, the map was complete, people started realizing how they are connected to each other, and also the business processes are connected to each other. So in order to visualize the processes at multiple levels, because a process is definitely supported by multiple systems, and those systems again will be connected through some other processes. So like this, there are multiple levels of processes, and if you want to understand all these things, then doing a value stream mapping always helps. You might have done it again and again, like value stream mapping, as I said at the beginning itself, it is something that can be done at different levels. Even your delivery process, in order to visualize your delivery pipeline, also we do the value stream mapping. So that's the important of this, because it helps us not only seeing the processes, but how the data is flowing from one process to the other process, and we can identify where it is getting slow, so that we can avoid that waste. So we can work, first of all, like we need to understand the total waste that is existing in our entire system, and then start addressing the higher severe waste items or bottlenecks, and then start working on building an action plan to clear it out. So that's another advantage. And then, it helps the people talk the same language, because they know now how the processes are connected to each other. And, it also helps us in that way, implementing the lean concepts or techniques, whatever that we are talking today, throughout the entire value stream. And again, if we don't understand the value stream end to end, then we do not know, even we apply the techniques also is not going to help us. It's something like not knowing which part of the body has got a disease, trying to give the treatment, taking through all sorts of scans, and that's not going to help, right? So first of all, you need to identify where the problem is, and for that value stream mapping helps. So this again helps breaking down the functional states. It's like again, value doesn't flow in the silos. So we have the value streams that are created across the silos, and that's how it actually helps us delivering the values. So again, I'm still talking about how and why value stream mapping. Hereafter, you see the slides naming value stream mapping abbreviated to VSM. So here, if you see this value stream mapping creates an end-to-end view, as I was saying, and then interaction between various people and systems, and also setting up of the language. So this is just a diagrammatically depicted information. So here the value stream mapping is strategic, and again, since it is strategic, it is not. We are not at the tactical level of dealing with the value streams. So at the strategic level, we definitely need the leadership heavily involved. And if leadership team is not able to dedicate the time towards doing this mapping, at least you do it once and then it's not something that you often do it. So spending some time is really going to help a lot. And I have seen the benefits of that. So leadership team should be, dedicating time. And the roles, if you look at from the leadership perspective, the strategic and tactical. So at the strategic level, we need the senior leaders. These are the people who are accountable. What has to happen? I mean, so what is it that they are anticipating from their product or from their solutions that they are providing to the customers? How they can visualize that is what value stream mapping is going to help. And the tactical, the next level management would be helping on how it will happen. So they will be the people who get into the tactical implementation. So they again go with creating the backlogs, and so they identify the bottlenecks that need to be addressed, and then start working it with the teams. And it could be a Kanban where they can visualize the work and then do the work with the teams. So this is the process. So what we're going to do here is that first of all, define the product family. And that involves defining what is the scope, the problem that is needed to be resolved, and pick product family. So that is the line of business or a product end-to-end deliverable, and then determine the objectives and benefits of, these are something that anticipated objectives and benefits that leadership wants to see. Then create a charter, the VSM charter. We're going to see how a VSM charter looks like in the next slide. And once we have this first step done, then we go into the second step that actually makes us work on identifying the current state. So the way that we document the current state is by mapping the current state value stream and quantify the value stream performance in the sense how the activities are being performed from the previous state, and then analyze it for the identifying for the improvement. Then the next one is future state. So based on your current state, so what is the desirable, reasonable future state that you want to move to? So for example, you have, you're taking X number of days to work on a particular state. Then in the future state, you may want to reduce that to, X minus Y or so, and that would be your future state. Now again, prioritize whatever the improvement work. So it's not that every bottleneck that is identified needs to be addressed right away, immediately. So that's one of the reasons like why we first want to visualize the bottlenecks across end to end, and then look at the ones which are severe, which are heavier, and focus on those first, and then make a plan. So prioritize your work, the improvement projects. And once you have the current state and then you have plotted your future state, then you create an implementation plan. So that implementation plan will be will work as something like a Bible until we achieve the future state. And that also helps us monitoring the progress. So this is how a VSM charter looks like. So basically it has the first, there are different headings over here. I must say different modules over here. But if we organize them at a higher level, so the first one focuses, the first column that has the scope, that has the target condition, all this. So this is actually the scope which we are looking at, that talks about what is that we want to achieve and why. So we need to provide that information in the form of different fields, like what are the specific conditions currently, and what is the demand rate. I mean, say how frequently these kind of requests come, and other fields that would help, like if you want to go through this charter, then I can provide this to you. I mean, so this presentation is going to be available, and also I have this, I mean, so practically implemented. I can share it with you. And then I mean, say the accountable parties, the people who are responsible for each lines of businesses, each lines of products. And then when this needs to be required. So this is what typically a VSM charter helps understanding. So this is what the current state, okay? So what it means is, without making any changes, what do you see in your end-to-end stream? So you walk through your value stream, and then you try to understand how much work in progress or WIP constraints that you do have. What are the delays? Basically, we focus much on the delays. We are going to see that current state diagram that I'm going to show. When I say delay, you would understand that in that slide. What are the errors or defects? So these are all a few things that you can see when you do the current state. So this is typically going to help us visually see all these problems. So look at this. This is what I was talking about. So what we are going to, so in the current state, there are three parts. Like one is how the information is flowing, and how the workflow is, and what is the time it is taking. So there are different processes. Again, the end-to-end processes. Once we receive a request until we deliver, all the processes that are involved in this. This is the value stream, and what are the functions that are involved, and then LT is a lead time. and then PT is the process time and percentage complete and accurate. So if you see here, this is what the process time that is taking in order to complete one particular state. And it is taking, there is some wait time over here. And we are going to consider that wait time plus this process time as the lead time. So if we can calculate all this, again, let me explain, percentage complete and accurate. So what this means is how much confident or how much confidence this step has that on the previous state has delivered, that can be used as it is. So that means, like, if they are say, if the 10 items are moving into the next state, so how many items people who are working in this state, they are needed to go back to the previous state and then get the clarification. So that is what your percentage complete and accurate. And if you calculate here the total lead time, so in order to complete the entire solution end to end, it is actually requiring only 9.5 days of time. But due to various factors, so that could be like, there are issues in the approvals process, the delays because of some dependent systems or dependency on various people, technology, or any of these things, right? So due to those delays, this is the total time is the process time is 180 minutes. For that, waiting for 9.5 days of time. So this is the total lead time. So that means like 9.5 days are required in order to complete 180 minutes of work. And then activity ratio is 3.9%. So this talks about the difference between the process time and the lead time. And then rolled percentage complete and accurate is equals to 30%. I mean to say, so I higher the percentage complete and accurate, the better. I mean to say, if you are not needing to go back to the previous state for many times, the number of times that are reduced to go back to the previous state, that is going to be a good, that's called as, betterment. So this is what our current state. Now let us look at the lead time and process time in detail over here. So when the work received from the previous state, okay, and the work that is delivered to the next state, the total time that it takes is the lead time. And in this lead time, so before actually this state can work on the the state can start working. So there is an idle time. That means these are waiting for something else in order to start the work. And also after the work is complete, there is some delay before the next state can take this work. So that is what the process time and the lead time. So again, this is lead time is total turnaround time, whereas process time is the actual time that it takes to complete it. For example, let me take it, to put it in a simple words, a delivery pipeline. So design, after the design phase is complete, before the development team can consider it for the coding, so the wait time, and the development team, how much time they can complete the coding is the process time. So now the wait time before the coding starts plus the time that is required for completing the coding, this is the lead time. So once we understand that, then we can look at the other metrics involved here. So that is the percentage complete and accurate. So quality of the output. So that means like, how many times it is required to go back, so that we touched base on already. Now let us look at the future state. So future state is that how do we want to improve on? So we know now from our current state where the delays are. I mean, say the maximum delays that we can start working on, and then how do we consider removing the waste, and how much, and in what areas. So usually, when people do the value stream mapping, okay, before doing the value stream mapping, they consider that our system is slow because we don't have the automation testing in place. I'm again taking the delivery pipeline as the example. So they think that if they bring in the automation testing, means automate every testing, then they can see the speed in delivery. But if the problem is not with the testing, so problem is somewhere in the requirements to design phase. I must say it was requiring a lot of approvals, or the refinement is taking too much of time, or the features are not clearly described. So when they are, I mean, say when the development team is accepting them, I mean, say committing on them, versus when they actually start working on it, how much they are realizing. I mean, so they realize that the understanding about the scope of a particular feature is not the same as when they have committed to it. So that means there was not a good work that was done when these features were in the backlog. So if there is the problem, I mean, say that is what creating the maximum delay, and testing is not a culprit over here. If the people are bringing in a lot of automation, and that requires a lot of effort, money, how is it going to improve on the speed? So that's the reason we should go for doing the value stream mapping, where we can visualize the bottlenecks, and then we can decide what needs to be addressed. So that is what our future state. So we look at, okay, this is where we want to be. So today we are able to deliver it within 6 weeks of time, and our future state that we are looking at, we should be able to deliver within 3 to 4 weeks of time. Again, our future state doesn't mean that we want to do like I can build a satellite in 2 months of time. That is the future state that I want to reach to. That may not look reasonable, may not look achievable. So again, you might have seen that, you might have experienced, once we have the current state, in order to plot our future state, we need to look at our SWOT analysis, like strengths, what are our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Based on what we have, we will be, coming up with a future state, because, this is what we have. So that is one of the ways that we consider plotting the future state in the development areas. So in the same way, when we are deciding at the line of business area, so we should be looking at what would be a reasonable future state for us. And again, we should be designing to meet our targets. Those are as mentioned in the charter. So charter is the one which we have seen that actually determines what is required and when is required. So based on that, we should be we should consider that when we are designing our future state. Now our future state looks like this. So here what we are doing is that at every state we are considering what are the bottlenecks that and what we should be doing in order to address those. that can be our action plan. So here, like, we need to look at the error proof and then cross-train the people. So these are the action items that we want to address, and then various interfaces that are involved. So once we can implement all these, then we would be able to achieve the total lead time. So earlier it was like 9.5 days to 3.5 days. And earlier the process time was 180 minutes. Now it is 160 minutes. And our activity ratio is 9.5 percentage. So this is like, we divide the process time with the lead time, and we get this data. Okay. So this is what we want to achieve. Again, this is not we have already achieved. This is what we want to achieve. So now, how do we know in the future that we have achieved this? So the answer is that you plot your current state in the future. So when you do current state in the future, then you get these numbers, and from there you again plot your future state. So from there, so that is what, right? Continuous improvement. Okay. So this is a value stream transformation plan, and there would be usually a value stream champion. I mean, so whatever the role that you may want to call it as. I have called, I have, when I had this plan, somebody needs to be made as accountable to hold this plan, so that they would be able to make sure that all the action items that were considered to be implemented would be taken care. And this transformation plan, again, like, this is I have taken this from Karen, and it looks like this. So you have the people. So just like the charter, it also has got different modules, and then these are the countermeasures that we wanted to do. Like if you see, socialize new criteria for engineering, quality, and purchasing involvement, and we will have clearly stated owners, and these are the people who would be implementing those, and this is the schedule, and this is how the progress is tracked. So that's how you are not leaving when you identify the bottlenecks and then identified the implementation plan. You are not actually leaving there, but rather you are continuing to make the progress and continuing to monitor this. So these are some of the metrics. So again, the metrics we are collecting from the current state, and then projected future state. I mean, so this is our dreamt of future state, our anticipated future state. This is what we want to achieve, from 17 months to 7.5 months. And then process time also would be improved, because as a part of the addressing the bottlenecks, we may come up with some of the new practices to be implemented, and that is going to help improve our plans or improve our tactics. And then the total percentage improvement, this is the projected. See, we are not thinking of making 100% improvement. I mean, say the reason is that, is it achievable? Is it something that can be possible? If it is not possible, don't set the impossible targets. And one of the reasons is that is going to demotivate also the people, because you cannot achieve extraordinary or unbelievable targets. So based on your existing abilities and your resources, you plot the future diagram. So what next? How do you sustain this plan? So physically post the future state map somewhere. What does it mean by somewhere? I had used the walkways, I mean, say hallways, where on the walls, I had these various posters, and then the transmission plans. Of course, that's one of my practices to make use of the walls and big information radiators, that now visible information radiators, to share and to highlight the data and deadlines to be visible to the leadership team. And what? Repeat. So continue to do that. PDCA cycle, So in the same way, so it is like you plan, you do, you study, and get the, create the feedback loops, get the solicit for the feedback, and then adjust it, and then continue to do it. So you do it at every stage, at every level, and continue on that. So with that, I have come to the end slide. Now I would like to take any questions.
Eshwar Venkat here. I'd like to ask, thanks for presentation, and I'd like to ask any end-to-end tool that you recommend towards value stream mapping to metrics. Have you experienced any such tool existing in the market?
Well, there are value stream modelers are there. I know about them, but these are something that you can digitalize. But as such, I have never used any tool.
Okay. One more question.
Because I tell you one thing. See, every organization uses different value streams. So there is no one single value stream that can be applied at every level in every organization. Maybe that's one of the reasons. It's something like you have to mute several items even if you want to follow a particular tool.
Got it. So towards the similar one towards the metrics. So you mentioned that the metrics that you have used for value stream mapping. I felt it's more towards the development side. What is that you're measuring on the business side? How the value stream mapping is helping the business?
Yeah, in the business side, various processes, right, at the top level. If suppose you take a banking, once the customer makes a request to open an account, what are the processes that it goes through? The departments that are responsible for checking the background of the customer, and getting for that they have to connect to some third-party applications, and what are the internal processes that it goes through. Those are the things. Like here, the time that we are calculating is how much time that a customer is needing to wait before he or she receives the account. Physically account opened, and that's one of the value streams, means one area. Like that, a bank may have several value streams that are existing at next levels. But at the top level, these are the processes.
Thank you.
But that was a good question. So I always think of that because since I'm involved in doing these value streams at every level, when it comes to the business and involving the leadership team, posing the questions and seeking for the information is really a challenging thing.
Sure. Thank you.
Hey, Eshwar Kartika here. So what I understand from this topic is that it is a concept and it can be customized. So based on how your organization works, how your team works, and what is the focus area, you can pick and play around. It need not be fixated at all these components should go in there. We can decide what works best for everybody in the team and for the management, right?
That's exactly right. See, that's why, like, I initially stated that this particular case study I have considered for the business process at the business level where leadership team is involved. But you are right. Your understanding is correct. This can be applied everywhere, even like, in order to design a Kanban system also, I use a value stream, like, how the delivery process is and what are the various stages or states that are involved, putting them together sequentially, I would be able to understand how I can design the system, Kanban system. I'm not talking about Kanban board, but I'm talking about the system. So this can be done everywhere and multiple levels and multiple areas and different organizations.
Ishwar, Kavita here.
Mm-hmm.
So one question I had. So when you said you wanted to have the leadership involved, how did you get their buy-in to get involved in the VSM process? Because it does require time investment from their side, right? So what?
Yes, yes, yes.
So how did you do?
I have done this by having almost 35 people from the business that involved the senior leadership. So it was not an easy task. Almost 4 weeks of preparation that it took for me to reach out to every executive and showcase them some of these case studies and how this is going to help them. And even like, see, this is not only the leadership team. So I did this for the leadership team, and also I did it from the architecture perspective. When you are creating the sequence diagrams in the architecture, you do this so that like you understand how the systems are connected to each other. But coming to your point, right? It is not something that has happened overnight. Several weeks of work prior to that, and again, once I plotted this, right, I have pasted this in the hallway, and when people were walking, the other leaders also approached me asking me for doing the same thing for their business area. So now you can understand. I mean, say, show them the wins, and you can get the buy-in from them. You can connect me. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, and we can talk. And I can definitely help you. I have done really some, good research in this area. I can help you out. Okay. So with that, thank you very much. Uh, I know people would have questions. I'm sorry I couldn't take them now, but definitely can help you out in the future.